What's up, guys? This is Sam from Dodgers Debrief, and today we finally have some off-season news. So today we're going to be talking mostly about the Lance Lynn trade that went down last night, really out of nowhere. But we'll also be covering some of the other MLB offseason rumors as well, as things have really heated up with the winter meeting starting in the past few days. So this video is going to be a little low on the editing because I want to get this out as the news stays relevant. So bear with me here. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe to my channel if you're interested in similar content. I'll have all the offseason news and analysis you'll need, as well as Dodger player outlooks, predictions, and breakdowns. So, getting into it, as you guys have probably heard, Texas Rangers pitcher Lance Lynn was traded to the Chicago White Sox last night. Late, too. It was almost midnight Eastern, which is very odd. So, Lynn had a 3.32 ERA, 4.19 FIP, and 356 strikeout to walk ratio while leading the league in starts with 13, and he led the league in innings pitched as well with 84 during the 2020 season, which was, of course, only 60 games. So while that ERA is pretty good, and he's obviously a very durable pitcher, the FIP being significantly higher than the ERA shows that he benefited from some good luck and good fielding in 2020, as well as pitching in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark at the new Globe Life Field. And the strikeout to walk ratio isn't great for a starting pitcher, but it's higher than it usually is in his career. So that's just who he is. So Lynn was a leading Cy Young candidate until facing the Dodgers in August, where he got knocked around a little bit, and he began to fade a little bit down the stretch, going from an ERA around 1 to a little over 3. And I believe he got torched by the Astros in his last start of the season, but it's not really relevant. He was still pretty solid down the stretch, even if he faded a little bit. So additionally, while Lynn did have a career year in 2020, it's a small sample size, and he is 34 with injury history. He was good in 2019, though, so again, it's not super worrying, but he probably did overperform a little bit in 2020. So I believe he's a free agent after 2021, so he's probably just a rental for the White Sox in that sense, but he does offer that durability and a veteran presence to a really young rotation and a very young, energetic team in general. It's also worth noting that new White Sox manager, Tony La Russa, who, while he was a weird hire for a myriad of reasons, he has previously managed Lynn when Lynn came up in the St. Louis system in the early 2010s. So again, as I mentioned, the White Sox gained an innings eater and quality starter in the middle of their rotation, but what exactly did they give up? So righty Dane and lefty Avery were both White Sox prospects that were sent to the Rangers in this deal. So Dunning is kind of he's the centerpiece of the deal for that the Rangers are receiving. Dunning was ranked 4th in the White Sox's really loaded farm system, and Avery was a 2019 pick later in the draft. I think the 6th round, but that might not be right. Out of college, so he's kind of like a high upside guy and could show up in their bullpen, or he's just another good young pitcher to have in their rotation, a great supplementary piece. But again, Dunning is the real piece here, and he actually made his debut in a few starts with Chicago this season and was pretty solid. Weems, however, again, as I said, he should not be overlooked, and he does have upside. If we're talking about who won this trade, I'm kind of leaning Rangers. So both teams, they filled the need, but the Rangers are getting much more long-term value than the White Sox are, and which they need. The White Sox don't need long-term value right now. But again, so that's why it's not really a bad trade for the White Sox in my opinion, but it works out better for the Rangers, who actually had the second worst record in the majors last year, and the worst in the American League, kind of quietly, and were really criticized for not trading Lynn at the deadline last year to get some value for him because they weren't going anywhere. Rangers sucked. So while the Rangers absolutely should be rebuilding, and it looks as if they're finally trying to now, Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic reported this morning that Lance Lynn actually would have opted out of the 2020 season, where he traded to a team that he didn't want to play for in the middle of the 2020 season, and was already trying to get extended with the Rangers. So I actually think that we can kind of back off just a little bit of the criticism with the Rangers, as they did end up getting a pretty good haul for Lynn, and they didn't. It seems that they weren't holding on to him just out of stupidity. It was also a much more complicated situation than we knew, which does happen in baseball sometimes. So while Lynn stabilizes and deepens the White Sox, Dunning adds to a pretty weak farm system in Texas, which is really all the Rangers should be caring about in 2021. So good move for the Rangers, solid move for the White Sox. Both teams, this is pretty solid. It's kind of a good classic trade. It kind of benefits everyone's needs, and nobody's getting kind of fleeced, as they say. So in other offseason news, the White Sox made kind of a weird decision and remained very busy signing their old outfielder whom they traded away to the Nationals for Giolito a few years back. This is Adam Eaton. They signed him back to play right field for a year for almost $8 million, which is pretty hefty price if you ask me for a 32-year-old who didn't hit at all last year and has been really declining in recent years. Additionally, Eaton was a bad clubhouse presence on the 2016 White Sox, most known for when he got into a fight with Todd Frazier in the clubhouse and was kind of generally bugging other players. That was also, though, the year Chris Sale cut up all those jerseys. So, this 2016 White Sox team, they had issues. It wasn't, so, Eaton might have been the wrong guy in the wrong place. But it seems like a weird choice to bring into the clubhouse. Really, though, what's the most confusing about this signing for me is that the White Sox were reportedly also looking at Jock Peterson and Michael Brantley, but chose Eaton instead. And he's probably the worst of the three. I understand being scared of Jock's platoon spits, but both he and Brantley, who's clearly better than Eaton, that guy can just hit and hit and hit, would have provided veteran presence and have played for teams with a winning culture, both of which Eaton already has done. Maybe, the White Sox were just trying to save money. They thought Jock and Michael Brantley might have been more expensive or might have wanted long-term deals, but it still seems like they're overpaying for Eaton to be a starting outfielder. And I believe he's slated in there to be their right fielder full-time. I don't get this, but then again, most people in the industry don't seem to either. So I guess we'll see. Maybe they know something we don't, and maybe they're just trying to get somebody to play right field for them, and it's whatever. I don't know. Weird, but I'm glad there's some action. So what also came out today was that the Kansas City Royals signed first baseman Carlos Santana to a 2-year, $17 million deal this morning. So Santana hit below 200 in 2020, but he generally has a lot of power and is a much better hitter than that. But also this year in 2020, which is worth noting, he led the American League in walks, which provides on-base skills to a Royals team that really needs them badly. I believe their general manager identified that as a key need going to the offseason. So that's great to see them kind of following up on that and trying to at least put a watchable product on the field, even though they aren't close to being competitive in the American League Central. Although in the American League Central, anyone could quote-unquote be competitive because it's so mediocre. But regardless, Santana will provide a good leader for the young players on that team and will make it much more watchable over the next 2 years at least if he doesn't end up staying there for the rest of his career. So that's the winter meeting so far, and there's been some serious action early on. As we can see, we're only, Tuesday night, and we've got kind of 2.5 sort of major deals. The market for players continues to be better than generally expected coming into the offseason, so that's great news for baseball, as well as owner-player relationships within the industry in general. Those were really bad kind of over the summer. So stay tuned for more news, rumors, and analysis. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more similar content in the future, as well as please subscribe and hit that notification button. Let me know what you think of these trades down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.